For years, Syrian civil defense volunteers, known as White Helmets, have been helping people escape bombings and other attacks in rebel-held Syria. Now, tens of thousands of escapees are coming back home to Syria. This time, they are fleeing the war in Lebanon, many after living as refugees for more than a decade.
Our teams are working to provide necessary first aid to sick people and those who have gotten ill because of the long distance they had traveled. We transfer some cases to the hospitals.
The road from Lebanon to Idlib, the last rebel stronghold in Syria, is long and dangerous, new arrivals say.
The trip was fraught with difficulties and bad treatment. We had to sleep on the dirt and stay on the road for 4 days.
Families arriving back in Syria are finding their old homes destroyed and no available jobs or humanitarian aid. But they say they had no choice but to flee.
There was a bombing near us. They bombed a missile warehouse that no one knew about at all, and they bombed a house near us as well.
14-year-old Hassan returned alone to live with his grandfather in Syria. He is the only one who survived bombings in Lebanon that killed 18 of his relatives.
My grandson remained under the rubble for 12 hours. A wall of the house fell on him. He had a little energy and he kicked at the rubble and shouted until some people heard him and rescued him.
In Syria, Hassan needs medical treatment, but the family cannot afford it, his grandfather says. Local officials say northwestern Syria may seem safer than Lebanon, but between lack of humanitarian aid and battles between the government and its allies and the rebels, it is only marginally so.
The situation in northwest Syria is very difficult now, as there is almost no relief aid because most organizations have withdrawn from the area. There is also continuous bombing.
The United Nations says that since Israeli bombing in Lebanon intensified in late September, more than 500,000 people have fled to Syria, including both Syrian refugees and Lebanese people. In the past year, about 100 Israeli civilians and soldiers have been killed in the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. In Lebanon, more than 3,400 people have been killed, including more than 200 children. With Moawia Atrash in Idlib, Syria, Heather Murdock, VOA News, Istanbul.